Hello, I'm the Colonel Karl Truman. Welcome to the Colonel in Your Corner podcast, a podcast focused on stories from community leaders and organizations working to improve quality of life for underserved populations. Join us each week to hear inspiring stories and unique perspectives. Well, welcome to the Colonel's podcast here, and today I'm talking with Jeremy Harrell, a good personal friend and colleague in the Veterans Club that I've been active in. So I want to hear from Jeremy today, talk about some of tell for people who aren't aware of the Veterans Club. Surprisingly, I still meet some people who aren't familiar with them yet, but I think most people are now. And some of the activities, how the mission of the Veterans Club and some of the projects, many projects that Jeremy's got going on. So morning, Jeremy. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Yeah, good morning, Karl. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, brother. I'm glad to be a guest today and hopefully can add some value to your listeners.
Well, I appreciate that. So tell us who you are and how did you get started with the Veterans Club?
Yeah, so I'm a United States Army veteran, combat veteran of OIF 1, 2003 to 2004. Come back home from that, continued to serve until 2008 and got out and kind of went into the corporate world and did some mid-level management at UPS, some executive management at other companies, and just really decided that there were some things going on that I needed to work through, some things that occurred when I was serving in the Army, some injuries that I sustained in country. And so after going through that process and finding out that they were more severe than I had imagined, I decided to just start an organization who could help veterans understand the changes that occurred due to their service to the country and connect them to other brothers and sisters in arms. And so initially what Veterans Club was a social group. It was just a private Facebook group, and we decided to have events every so often to get folks connected. And the next thing you know, there was a real demand for it. The need just continued to grow, and folks just kept coming, which is a great thing. That's our favorite problem, is when anytime too many people come. And so we decided that it would be best for us to start a nonprofit. And so I started working in the nonprofit for Veterans Club on a volunteer basis. And that was in 2017. Here we are, 6 years later, and now we're a much larger organization. Not as much staff wise, but definitely demand and exposure and program wise. And yeah, I just couldn't imagine doing anything different. This is definitely something that fulfills me, being connected to the veteran community. I didn't want to get out of the Army when I had to. So this is a way I can still feel like I'm serving.
Great. What's the mission statement for the Veterans Club?
Yeah, so our mission is to provide healing, recovery, housing assistance, and vocational training for service members, veterans, first responders, and their family. Initially, we started as a veterans organization exclusively. And then over time, we realized that families needed to be involved in the healing process as well. They also needed to be connected with other people who understood what it was like to either be married to someone who serves or be a child of someone who serves. And so we decided to do that. And then last year, we officially started opening the doors to first responders, including first responders who may not be veterans of the armed forces. And so yeah, so those are the folks that we serve. We have over 7 nationally recognized programs. We do a lot of other initiatives. We partner with a lot of agencies, and we usually hold a couple hundred events a year for free, thanks to generous donors and sponsors. Karl, you're one of those. You've always been generous to us. You've always, been behind Veterans Club, and because of that, we continue to be able to say yes to those who come to the door needing something.
So how many members participate in the Veterans Club?
So currently we have about 6,000 members in a private Facebook group that we connect with daily. And then, throughout the United States, we provide support to other areas outside of Kentucky indirectly. For example, a resilient mind program. There's no requirement to be in Kentucky to be a part of that program. We've partnered with other organizations throughout the country. One of the big ones that you may know of is Tunnels to Towers, where they provide housing to severely wounded veterans. They actually provide them a house free of charge, no mortgage. So we've got involved in helping them. We work very closely with the Department of Veteran Affairs. We have a really good relationship with them. So primarily in Kentucky, I'd say we touch about 7,000 veterans, a year. And then across the country, we don't track that number, but we know it's a pretty high number, pretty significant.
And I know you've done some things to give back to the community and throughout Kentucky, such as helping with the tornado disaster relief. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's kind of funny how it happened. Technically, we're not a national disaster organization, but I made a decision when this terrible, well, it happened twice, right? But initially, when we got the tornadoes in Western Kentucky, I knew it was bigger than just what we do as an organization. That as fellow Kentuckians and neighbors, that we had to. It was a call to action to get together and to try to provide anything we could to take the pressure off and to provide a respite to those folks. And so we decided that we would start taking donations so that we could, take those down to the folks who needed it the most. And we ended up taking 11 truckloads, box trucks, semi trucks, Expo Logistics. They lent us a driver and a 53-foot trailer. It was an outpouring of support from the community, an abundance of love and compassion shown. So we took those down to Western Kentucky for the first time. We unloaded them in Mayfield at a church there. And that was the first time that I ever saw the damage. This was about 3 days after the tornado. And I have to say that it's probably the most damage I've ever seen. And I've been in Iraq and during wartime. And the difference is that damage is usually targeted. Whereas this whole town of Mayfield was completely wiped out. And it was very heartbreaking to see, especially when it's folks that are in your neck of the woods, that are your neighbors. And so we were able to support them. And then we did the same in Eastern Kentucky when the floods came. We went down and we filled up a couple of churches in Eastern Kentucky in a hazard area with generators. And it was set up kind of like a Walmart. And so that gave an opportunity for the community to come and get what they needed. And we like to do that when we can. Obviously, if there was something that occurred in Washington State, we probably wouldn't get involved in that. But when it's at home here in Kentucky, we feel a call that we need to be involved. And so we were able to be pretty instrumental. And we were able to do a lot of good, and especially for an organization that didn't have a lot of experience in disaster relief. So we love to do things like that. We do one-off things, too. I think one thing that's important to me is, yes, we want to take care of service members, veterans, and first responders and family members. But we also want to be good partners to the community at large, right? We want the community to come and be a part of what we're doing. Whether you served or not, we'd love for you to be involved in Veterans Club. And we want to make sure that it's open to folks who didn't serve, but that want to be helpful. So we don't have a monopoly over hardship, and we definitely don't have a monopoly over serving. And so we want to invite anybody who wants to help push the mission forward.
Well, and I'm sure that it helps give veterans a sense of purpose, which is something that they need to be able to have, okay, they got a mission to accomplish, and quite a diverse of technical skills. I mean, that's something I think people may not realize about, veterans have so many technical skills that you can draw on. How are you taking advantage of that?
Yeah, so one of those, what you're mentioning, Karl, you're very right on that, is that veterans need mission purpose. We are built generally from a young age. That's generally when we join the military at a pivotal moment in our lives, where we actually become men and women. And we have to have that mission purpose. And sometimes, whether you're medically retired or you retired after 20 years, or you still need something to do, right? And so we are very good about offering that out to folks in the community who have served at some point and still wants to serve and still wants to be part of that community. We always have an open door. And in fact, that's generally how we're able to get so much done. Again, we're a very small staff. We're a staff of 3. And then, of course, we got these folks in the community who maybe they're 100%, but they're still able to do certain things, or maybe they retired, or whatever the case is. And they say, hey, I'd like to start guitar lessons. That's something that I know how to do. It's something that I think could benefit the community. And so we say yes. Why wouldn't we do that? And so that's essentially how we get so much done. But I definitely needed that. And really, I kind of, when I think about Veterans Club and I think about the reason why I started it, I would be willing to go as far as to say that it's kept me alive, having this mission purpose, because we need that. I think between that and isolation, I think that is the reason why we have a problem with veteran suicide in our country. And so that's another way we try to offer an opportunity for veterans so they don't go down. We're very proactive. There's a lot of organizations that react to the needs of the community and react to the veterans, but we want to be proactive. So we feel like if we can give people opportunities to lead, opportunities to be involved, that will prevent a lot of suicidal ideations, because they have this flair for life again, and they have this desire to want to do good things. And so we just help facilitate that. And so we've been lucky that we haven't lost folks to suicide that were directly related to what we do as an organization. And we're very proud of that, especially coming out of the pandemic where things were really tough.
And you've grown to be able to have your own office headquarters for people to come and have meetings and things. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked about that, because I want to make sure this is very clear to folks out there listening. Is if you come over to our headquarters, you'll notice it looks like a big white house. And the reason why we selected this building, well, there's a couple. One of the reasons is it's right on Shelbyville Road in the heart of St. Matthews, very accessible, bus line or through GPS. But additionally, we want it to look like a home. When veterans and their families and first responders, when they come in there, whether they need our services or they just want to come in as a member of the community and have a cup of coffee, we want to make sure that they feel like they're at home. We want them to know that we want that place full of our folks in the community who need it. We didn't design it just to be open and nobody to come. And so it's, we have a library there. We have an extra office that if a veteran needed to meet with someone, they could meet with someone at that office. We have a conference room. We have a full kitchen, a living area. We have a library upstairs. So really, really good opportunity to come and kind of do your work or have a meeting with someone or reconnect with your fellow veterans or first responders, or, come and learn about our services and let us get to know you. But it means a lot to me when that place is full and there's nowhere to walk. That's kind of how we want it. That's what it's created for.
And is there any cost for a veteran to participate or belong to the Veterans Club?
There is zero cost, and I'm so thankful for that. I mean, if somebody said, what is the work within the organization that is your priority? It's my priority to make sure that it never does. I think that's the best thing I could do for the organization. And so far, since 2017, we haven't had to say no. But that's why it's important, right, to get everyone involved, whether it's a veteran, first responder, or someone out there who's looking for an organization to help, an organization to support. But I want to be clear, we don't just want a check. We want you to be part of this family. We want you to be as involved as you want to be. This club is not Jeremy's club. This club is Veterans Club, and it's a club of all those who have served in one capacity or another, but it's also open to those who are passionate supporters of those who have served. And so that's why it's so important to have these folks come alongside of us and help.
Gosh, you've done hundreds or maybe even thousands of events for veterans and community projects. But so we couldn't possibly go through all of them, but what are some of them that you're most proud of and that you've had the best impact in your mission?
Yeah, that's a hard question because I'm very proud of it all. But I would say what I'm most proud of is the effectiveness of our programs. I am proud that we do some additional one-off missions. I am proud of that, but I'm proud of our programs and how far they've come. When we first started Veterans Club, I didn't know anything about horses. I went out to a farm in Kansas and went through a program similar to ours, and realized very quickly that there was some validity to how horses can help folks overcome challenges and to heal and find and build confidence and build those interpersonal relationships. And so we went out on a limb and said, hey, we're going to start doing this. We have to find someone who has horses and has a farm. And what's cool about this program, Karl, is although it's now much more polished than we first started, and I know about horses now, and I've gained knowledge. The program is still the same effectiveness between when we first started than where we are now. And the reason is the common denominator, because that was something that I would think through, is because of the connection. The foundation of what we do is veterans getting together. And as long as, and that's why there wasn't a lot of pressure, because as long as we get veterans together, they will organically develop relationships and support systems. Everything else that we do outside of that connection foundation is a bonus. So the horses are a bonus. The idea is to get veterans out to the farm, to learn about horses, to get to learn a skill, to be able to do something unique, but mainly to connect with each other. And what we consider success is when they leave there being friends, and they leave there with their phone numbers and their friend requests on social media, and when we see them hanging out together in the community. Because although we have over 200 events a year, we can't cover every day of the year, although we really try hard, as you've noticed. So we need one of the measurements of success for us is, are these veterans getting together outside of Veterans Club and staying connected and bringing their families connected? And I think that's what we're best at. So we do that through equine facilitated mentoring. We do it through Operation Jeep Build, which is vocational training, automotive repair, auto body welding, power tools, taught by ASC certified mechanics in Jeffersonville over on 8th Street, Gear Off Road. He's our partner in that. And then we have, the VCAP program, which is the Veteran Club Assistance Program for folks who have immediate needs. For an example, recently, there was a gentleman who was an EMT, but he wanted to become a paramedic because there's more income. He's able to provide better for his family, but he just couldn't afford the books. And so we took care of that for him. We do a hand up. We call it hand up, not hand out. But we help with things like that. And then, of course, we have our Women Warrior program. That's probably our fastest growing program to date, because there's such a need in the United States for things specifically for women who have served. Right now, we're looking at the population of women veterans at 10%. That's looking to double by 2040. And it's the fastest growing demographic in the military, women serving. And so we want to make sure that we're proactive in creating a program that is designed for the unique challenges that they face. And so that's been very, very popular. In fact, in October, we're going on an all-inclusive retreat for 4 days in Norris Lake, Tennessee. So they're going to get to connect. And these are veterans, women veterans from all over the country. So that's one of our, favorite programs too. And then, we have a lot of the educational piece and the Resilient Mind. And the Resilient Mind is the newest program. In fact, we started that this year. Our first cohort just graduated. And some of the feedback we got from them was it made all the difference in the world.
Tell us a little bit more. Tell us a little bit more about that program. What is that?
Yeah. So the Resilient Mind program we created, it is a curriculum-based program, 12 weeks long. And the idea is to help veterans who maybe have been in that dark rabbit hole, but have come out of that and are kind of stabilized, but want to level up in their life in some way. So maybe so for an example, it's like, okay, I'm getting on the other side of some of this PTSD or some of these things that I deal with, traumatic brain injury. I'm ready to go back out there and achieve my goals. And what we do is we ask them, what are you wanting to do? For some, it's, I want to be a small business owner. I want to get my doctorate degree. I want to be a better father, better mother. So there's a lot of variables. But we have developed a team of subject matter experts in all those capacity to be able to help them get to where they want to go. So while there's a lot of veteran organizations who focus on pulling people over the mental health barrier and things like that, which is absolutely necessary, and we'll keep doing that, but we essentially wanted to take them all the way through the finish line. We wanted to create a pathway in which they could be successful. I don't know anything more empowering than maybe told at one point that you'll never be able to quote unquote do this, but actually over the course of time, you are able to do that. and I think that's good for what the well-being. So
Well, I
that's why
think
we
that's the
created that
quickest
program.
way to. I think that's the quickest way to motivate a veteran to prove you wrong. If you tell them, "Oh, you can't do that."
That's right, and it's very challenging because there's the academic curriculum, and then while they're doing that, they have to commit to a program called 75 Hard, which is a program by Andy Frisella. And what that looks like is for 75 days, you have to, without fail, by the way, if you fail at any of these I'm about to mention, you'll have to start back at day one, right? So you have to do 2 workouts per day, 45 minutes in length. They can't be within 3 hours of each other, and one must be done outside regardless of elements. So that's the number one thing. And then you have to drink a gallon of water a day. You can't have alcohol. You have to read 10 pages of a self-development book, anything nonfiction that can help you grow. You have to take a progress picture. Of course, that's just for you, but it is a requirement that you take a picture. And then you have to choose some sort of diet that restricts you from bad food. And you have to do all this perfectly, or you have to start over at day one. And so while they're doing the academic part of that, they're also doing the physical part of that. And what we've read in studies and talking to mental health providers is that is the total combination to getting people to a consistent level of well-being. And so they're working out, so they're having this natural boost of feel good, right? And they're relieving stress, and so that sets them up to be effective when they sit down and they start doing the curriculum-based work. And then so they're growing in both ways. And so collectively, the graduates of this first cohort lost over 100 pounds through this challenge, but also now they're more marketable in the workforce. And the second part of what we're trying to do with this program is to connect with employers like yourself or some C-suite folks in businesses around Louisville, Southern Indiana, and say, hey, this person completed this program. This is the demands of the program. We believe that they would be a good asset to your team because they have the discipline to do that program and while they're living their life, and they've been successful at it. And so our hope is that employers start to recognize the validity of what we're doing and give sort of like a point preference to hire those people. And so far so good. We have the 3 that graduated. We started with 5 for the first cohort. The 3 that finished, they are now working with an organization called Kentucky Valor that helps veterans get good jobs, not just a job, but good jobs. And so they're well on their way. And that's what we want to do this next cohort. And then we're looking for a bigger audience of essentially 10 to 15 participants now that we have tweaked and we've gotten the process lined out. So we're really excited about it. There's nothing like it in the country. And so it's becoming very appealing to those around the country when they look at ways to get better.
Well, that's really exciting. If there is a veteran out there who is interested to learn more about Veterans Club, or how can they check out some of your programs, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so the best way would be to go to our website at veteransclubinc.org. And it's a very interactive website. You can ask us questions there, but it has the list of all of our programs and what they look like. And then also, we're on every social media platform. We're not as strong on Twitter. I think Twitter's a dumpster fire. I don't do a lot of Twitter, but Instagram, Facebook, we're there, and we can connect that way too. But what we really like, Karl, is for folks to come and see us in person if they can. When they walk in and just introduce themselves, so we can talk about how we can get together and get involved over a cup of Black Rifle Coffee, who sponsors our Coffee and Camaraderie program, which we have as well. So yeah, we want
when real quick mention when that is, because
yeah.
that's a really neat program you got going there too.
Yeah, so Coffee and Camaraderie happen once a month, and the next one should be coming up real soon. You go to our website and look at the events tab, and it'll give you the date and time. We have it in our headquarters, We have a couple of coffee makers there, and it's real comfortable. There's couches and all that good stuff. And we have Jeff's Donuts, which are delicious. If you've never had Jeff's Donuts, you're missing out.
I don't eat donuts. Sorry.
I shouldn't eat donuts, but nonetheless,
that's not on that challenge program. I don't think. Yeah.
No, donuts are definitely not on that challenge program, and it was hard for me not to have any when I did it. But come over, and that's a low stakes way of getting involved. There's no expectation there. It's just a matter of who you are. How can we help you? How can we be in connection with you? And what can we do to make your life better?
And they don't need to call ahead. They just a veteran can just show up there.
Yeah, for that program, you can just show up. Whether you drink, and we have other drinks. So I know everybody's not a coffee drinker. We have tea, we have soft drinks and water. Soft drinks also not included in that 75 hard program, unless you drink the zero. But nonetheless, we have something for everybody. So just come and see us and get to know us so that we can do life together. That's our motto anyway, is doing life together. And that's what we want to do.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. I appreciate you taking your time to tell us more about the Veterans Club. It's a lot of great information, and we want to get the word out.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Karl. Thank you for not only being an advisor to the work that we do there, but also being a good friend to me and being a great supporter of the organization. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
I'd like to thank our listeners for joining us. Like, subscribe, and tune into the next episode of Colonel in Your Corner to hear more from community leaders and nonprofits and learn how you can get involved. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok to keep up with our community events and outreach. Thanks again for listening.